This looks like an interesting problem. We're given 2 points, that a line passes through these 2 points. We're given the coordinates of the first point, but we don't know for sure the coordinates of the second point. But we do know that the line passing through these 2 points has a slope of 5. And what we want to do is find the value of x that makes this whole thing work. Well, we just happen to have a formula that has all of this stuff in it, and that's our formula for the slope. I'm going to write it. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I'm going to read this as left to right. So when I read this, I'm seeing my first x value right there and the first y value here, the second x value here, and the second y value here. So let's substitute the values we do know. Now, what do we know about m? Well, we're told up here that m is equal to 5. So let's put a 5 in there for m. And then this is equal to, what do we have here? Second y minus first y. Second y minus first y. So what's the second y? Here's the first one. Here's the second one. So the second y turns out to be an x, right? It's kind of funny, but x and y being the same. So the second y, though, is an x squared. So I'll put an x squared there, minus, and the first y that you see, as I look left to right, the first y I see is a 4. Now in the denominator, we have an x2 minus x1. That's the second x minus the first x. So what's the second x? It's right there. It just happens to be exactly an x. So that'll be an x minus, now, what's the first x? There's the first x right there. That's a 2. So this is a rational equation. We know what to do here, don't we? We get the LCD, which is x minus 2. And because this is an equation, I have to look out for excluded values. I know x cannot be 2. And it surely can't be 2 because if I put in 2, I'll get division by 0, and the whole thing's undefined. So now, let's multiply every term up here by the x minus 2. I'll put it next to each term. I'll put it here, and I'll put it here. So we will get 5 times that x minus 2 equals, now I'll use parentheses because I want all of it, x minus 2 dot x squared minus 4 over x minus 2. Now on the left side, I'm going to distribute through, so we'll get what? 5x minus 10 equals, on the right side, the x minus 2's cancel. That was the whole point. And we are left with x squared minus 4. All right, so let's solve for x squared. This is quadratic. We know how to do this. Get 0 on one side, everything else on the other. So let's subtract 5x and add 10. So we'll get 0 is equal to x squared. Now I'm subtracting 5x, and then I'm adding 10. So negative 4 plus 10 plus 6. Oh, there's an x there. All right, let's factor. 0 equals, oh, you know, these 5s and 6s, these are a little bit tricky. We got to be careful here. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to erase this in a minute, but what if we had tried this one? We'll see it doesn't work. What if you tried this? X and x, 6 and 1, right? You can get 6 when you multiply, a 5 when you get an addition. But look what happens. The 6 is positive. So these two numbers have to have the same sign. But if you make them both positive, right, if you make them both positive, what do you get? You get 6, but then the addition would be a 7. If you make them both negative, you get negative 7, not the 5. So that combination is not going to work. Let's get rid of it. So the combination we want is x minus 3, x minus 2, from which we will get x equals 3 and 2. Oh, now this is interesting too. We think we may have it here. But what happens, all right, I'm going to do this up at the top right. What happens if x is equal to 2? Well, if x is equal to 2, what is x squared? That would be 4. And then look at the 2 points you have. Follow it over here. You get 2 and 4. So if you put those points in here, 2 and 4, what have you got? You got exactly the same point. That gives you a slope of 5. So because of that, I'm going to exclude x equals 2, but I'm also going to do it for another even bigger reason. Do you see what it is? We solved this equation. If you follow it all the way back, what was x? Look at this. It's excluded, right? x not equal to 2, and what did we get? 2. And that's why we get the same point. All right, so we need to exclude that 2. So what do we end up with here then? We're just going to conclude now that x is equal to 3. And then if we want to write it, our 2 points would be this. 2, 4, and what? 3 and 3 squared is 9.